Hello, friends. What's going on? Tom Downey, Mitchell Wren's not here today, so you're stuck with me, Harrison Graham, on today's edition of NFL Daily on Chat Sports. Lots of NFL news and rumors to get into, so let's go ahead and kick things off up in Philadelphia. Their franchise quarterback, Carson Wentz, as the Eagles are planning to extend him. GM Howie Roseman says the plan is still to extend Wentz despite the injuries the past couple of years. Of course, Philadelphia let Nick Foles go as he is now in Jacksonville. They did pick up Wentz's fifth-year option earlier this offseason. As I mentioned, Wentz has dealt with injuries throughout his career, going back to his college days at North Dakota State, but he is clearly the future in Philadelphia moving forward. You look at his career numbers, 40 games out of 48 potential games played, almost 64% completion percentage, over 10,000 yards, 70 touchdowns, of course, but he's missed 8 games the past couple of years. He's not been available for the postseason. So while clearly he's the future in Philadelphia, this is certainly something to consider in terms of how much to pay Wentz moving forward. You look at some of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Obviously, Russell Wilson getting that new deal this offseason. Roethlisberger getting his extension as they're at $35 and $34 million. Aaron Rodgers making over $33. And Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, each over $28 million. That's kind of the range you're talking about when you're talking about Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'll ask you guys, how much should the Eagles pay Carson Wentz? Should it be over $30 million or under $30 million? Type O for over, U for under in the comments section. I think $30 million is kind of that number you're looking at when you're talking about Carson Wentz and an extension in Philadelphia. How about another quarterback in the NFC East? The Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. Jane Slater reporting that the Cowboys have made their first offer to Dak, but be cautious. Two sides are not necessarily considered close to a deal. Look, this is the Cowboys saying, hey, here's our first offer. I'm guessing it's probably between 26 and 28 million. Dak's camp is going to want over 30 million. Both sides want to get this done before training camp begins so they can focus on football. You look at his career passing numbers, obviously that huge rookie season in 2016. Had a nice bounce back in 2018 after a sophomore slump in 2017, especially with the addition of Amari Cooper last year. So, look, Dak is the future of the Dallas Cowboys. He's going to be the future quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys for many years to come. So I wouldn't expect anything less than a similar contract to Carson Wentz. It's going to be in that $30 million range. It's going to be for 4 or 5 years. Here's Tom Downey's projected contract. 5 years, $147.5 million, about $29.5 per. That's what you're looking at there. I think that's a fair range for Dak Prescott when you consider the quarterbacks that have been getting paid. So we've talked about Dak, we've talked about Wentz. When you're comparing these two, look, Wentz has the higher upside. I think we all know that, right? He's a more polished passer. He can stretch the field a little better. Dak, though, durability, hasn't missed any games in his career. Just a grinder and finds a way to win games. So I think it bears to ask, and I'll ask you guys, which quarterback would you rather have moving forward and in the long term? I would lean Dak. He's available all the time. He doesn't get injured. He's a good leader. There were leadership concerns with Wentz last year with the whole Foles-Wentz back and forth thing. Give me Dak Prescott, but D for Dak, C for Carson Wentz. Feel free to comment down below. Moving on, Jason Pierre-Paul, could he be out for 2019? A report coming out that he has a neck fracture due to that car accident he was in last week. Looks like he's probably going to need surgery. Could cost him the entire 2019 season, at least would cost him a good chunk of the season. He is going to see multiple multiple doctors get different opinions and see what the best course of action is. Look, I'm no expert, I'm no doctor. If you have a fracture in your neck, you're probably going to have to get surgery, and that's probably going to be the route for Jason Pierre-Paul. You look at his last 4 years, had a really nice bounce back here in 2018, those 12.5 sacks, 16 tackles for loss. Obviously spent the first several years of his career on the Giants, was a key addition for the Bucs last year. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Pierre-Paul. You look at this linebacking core for Tampa Bay, and remember, they're moving to that 3-4 scheme, so JPP expected to play outside linebacker, may move down to the front three on passing downs, but you don't have him in there. I like the inside with Devin White and Levante David, but not a lot of pass rush help there. And then also, you have to keep in mind, too, the Bucs have been shopping Gerald McCoy this offseason, so you wonder, can they afford to do that now? You can't lose JPP and Gerald McCoy in the same offseason. McCoy hasn't been a part of the offseason program. They've been trying to trade him because he's got that $13 million guaranteed cap hit this season. I think now you have to reconsider that if you're Tampa Bay. You have to consider keeping him because you look at the defensive line depth chart. Outside of McCoy, where's the pass rush coming from? Vita Vea is going to plug the middle in the run defense. William Golston, you drafted Anthony Nelson. Maybe he gives you 4 or 5 sacks as a rookie. I don't see a lot of pass rush on this front 7 right now. So, I think they're going to have to keep McCoy, and I think JPP is likely going to miss this entire season. All right, guys, this show is brought to you by Wager Talk. Go to wagertalk.com/chatsports for all the expert picks and handicap and get your free daily package there. Again, it's wagertalk.com/chatsports. All right, let's keep things rolling here on NFL Daily. Bilal Powell, speaking of neck injuries, he's been cleared to play. He missed the final 9 games of last year with a neck injury. Many thought it would be a career-ending injury. Had the surgery, has been resting up. Ian Rappaport reports that he has been cleared. Of course, he's a free agent running back, a nice rotation back that can run the football, can catch the football. You look at his career stats, almost 3,500 rushing yards, over 1,500 receiving yards on 204 catches. This guy can do a little bit of everything for you, kind of a Swiss Army knife. I think he's a solid third down back for a lot of teams. So I put together a list of teams that Powell could play for, and that would be a good fit in my opinion. You've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They only have Leonard Fournette, lost TJ Yeldon in the offseason, who caught a lot of passes for them. I think that would be a good fit. Minnesota Vikings. They have Dalvin Cook, who's injury prone, not a ton behind him. I think that's interesting. The Saints lost Mark Ingram this offseason. Obviously, Kamara is their bell cow guy, but Powell could be a good fit there as well. Buccaneers, Peyton Barber, that's your guy. I think Powell could go in there and get a lot of run down in Tampa Bay. And then obviously the Arizona Cardinals. David Johnson's their 3-down back, but they don't really have a true backup. I think he'd be an interesting fit there and an interesting weapon for Kyler Murray and that new offense. So I'll ask you guys. Those are a list I threw out together. Which team should sign Bilal Powell? Should it be one of those teams? Could the Jets bring him back? I don't think they'll go in that direction after bringing back Le'Veon Bell. But Bilal Powell, a free agent, he is cleared to go, will be on a team come training camp, in my opinion. Let's go to defense. Telvin Smith, could he be leaving Jacksonville? Okay, guys, here's the deal. He broke his silence on Instagram, has not showed up to the offseason program at all, has been in the center of discussion in Jacksonville because Tom Coughlin says he's not on the trading block, but we expect him to be here. He said, quote, "I'm never leaving Duval," which is, of course, the county of Jacksonville. Y'all seen the rumors go somewhere, but y'all ain't seen me go nowhere because I ain't going nowhere. You understand me? Again, this is Telvin Smith on Instagram just a couple of days ago. So, you look at his last 4 years, he's been a key part of this Jacksonville defense. 100 tackles last year, 76 the year before, 98, 99 in 2016 and 2015. Jacksonville's trying to get back to that level they were a couple of years ago when they were on the brink of going to the Super Bowl. He's an integral part of that defense. You look at this linebacking core. You plug him next to Miles Jack. You got Ryan on the other side as well. Don't forget, they drafted Josh Allen, who's going to play edge for them, but could slide back and play some weaker Sam potentially at times. So maybe that factors into play here. But Telvin Smith, some of the thought process here may be why he's not at camp is guys are getting paid in the offseason. Quan Alexander got paid. C.J. Mosley is another linebacker that got a new deal. He's got 3 years left on his deal, only averaging $10 million per. Other guys are getting north of $13 million. So we'll see what happens with Telvin Smith and the Jaguars, but I expect him to be a part of this team moving forward. Elsewhere, Ziggy Ansah. Seahawks? Is that where he's heading? Ian Rappaport certainly thinks so, as he reports that the Seahawks are the front runner for Ansah. He's visited with some other teams, the Bills, the Ravens, the Saints. Got to remember, has that shoulder issue, had the surgery. Probably why he hasn't been signed yet, as teams are concerned with the shoulder problem. Seattle lost Frank Clark. Yeah, they drafted L.J. Collier, but you'd like to get a veteran in there, somebody that can provide a punch off the edge. I think Ezekiel Ansah could be that guy for them. He would be a good fit there. Don't expect him to give you Frank Clark production, but he can certainly be a nice rotation player at the very least. Obviously in 2015 had that monster season. Hasn't been quite the same player. Had a good year a couple of years ago, but last year only played in those 7 games, had 4 sacks in those games, so may have been around 8 or 9 sack season for him. Health is the issue for Ansah. He can certainly play. You look at that defensive line depth chart. I mentioned Collier. He's going to get a lot of run. Obviously, you lose Frank Clark. I think you plug in Ansah on the opposite side of Collier or in Collier's place, and Collier rotates in and out some. I think this makes a lot of sense for Seattle. They need defensive line help. We'll see if Ziggy Ansah ends up being the answer for Seattle. He's still making visits, all that good stuff. But Ian Rappaport is reporting that Ziggy Ansah to the Seahawks is what it's looking like right now. So I'll ask you guys, will the Seahawks sign Ziggy Ansah? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Again, I think it makes a lot of sense. They need a veteran on that defensive line after losing Clark. Expect Seattle to sign Ansah in the near future.